Hello and welcome to another episode of Transfer Talk on Football Talk podcast. My name is Ozzy and I'm your host for today's show. A bit quieter in terms of the transfer rumor mill, but that might be due to the fact that a lot of teams are preparing for Euro 2024, which is set to be underway this Friday, which I'm quite excited about. But nonetheless, plenty of transfer rumors to discuss on the show today. So let's start with the first rumor, and that is Palhinha possibly joining to Bayern Munich. Now we all know Palhinha unfortunately missed out on the move to Bayern last summer, um, and to be fair, he didn't sort of throw his prime out the in terms of he didn't really show any sort of issues when he was at Fulham. He continued to play for the team and played at a very good standard. To be fair, probably one of the stand-up players last season. But because of this, I believe Bayern Munich haven't been put off by the player. What were the reasons? Well, we're not quite so sure. Maybe there was a sort of a financial issue with regards to completing the move last summer, but that hasn't stopped them this summer. As in fact, they have shown some serious interest in signing him this summer. So they're back in the hunt for the Portuguese midfielder, and I believe Palhinha will get his move this summer, and rightly so. The fee is around, rumored to be around 38 million, which is an absolute bargain. Now, I know a lot of fans, especially Liverpool fans, will ask, why aren't any other Premier League clubs showing interest? Well, I think the club had a strong stance last summer in regards to not selling the player to a rival team. So, for example, West Ham made an inquiry for the player as they wanted to find a replacement for Declan Rice, and Fulham responded by saying that he's worth, I think, 80 million and upwards, which was a ridiculous amount at the time. So I think they're more content to sell him abroad. Now, for me, that's probably not the best way of doing business, especially for a team like Fulham, who are not really challenging for major honours. So to have a player that I would say if he was sold in the Premier League, you'd probably be able to gain more money from him. So I think Palhinha, if he was linked to one of the big boys, i.e. like a Liverpool, they could probably try and get a bit more closer to the fee of around 50 million, in my opinion. But that's their approach, that's their viewpoint. In terms of this rumor, I do think this move will happen and it will be wrapped up in the coming weeks. Next player, Eze. Now, this is an interesting one. And the reason I say that is because it's been revealed that Eze has a release clause of £60 million, which is not very high for a player of his quality, in my opinion. So no surprise that Eze's name is linked with a number of big clubs, and that includes Liverpool. Now, the big question is, do I see Liverpool signing Eze this summer? From a personal point of view, I would love to see Liverpool sign Eze, as I think he would be a great fit for the current crop of players that we have, and I believe he would suit the 4-2-3-1 formation, playing as a number 10. However, I don't think this is an area that Liverpool will be looking to strengthen this summer. So unfortunately, I don't see the move happening, but he will certainly be linked with other clubs. So it remains to be seen if he makes the move in the coming weeks. Next transfer rumor, Julian Alvarez, a player that is generating a lot of interest across Europe, but is currently being linked with a move to remain in the Premier League, and the club fighting for his signature is Chelsea Football Club. Now, we all know that Chelsea are in pursuit of a striker. It's no big secret. But if I'm being honest, I'm not so sure if he's the right profile. Don't get me wrong. I think if he was a Chelsea player, he would score a lot of goals for the club. But they already have a player who shares similar qualities, and that's Nkunku. They could, however, form a good partnership, as Nkunku can play as a number 10. And I've always viewed Alvarez as a number 9. And that was the sort of player he was at River Plate before he joined Man City. I think Chelsea should probably look at a different profile with regards to a striker, someone that's a big and strong player who can hold up the ball and then lay it off for number 10, like an Nkunku. But nevertheless, as I mentioned earlier on, there is a lot of interest in Alvarez, and it's not just from the Premier League. One of the clubs that has been linked with Alvarez is Atletico Madrid. Their president, Enrique Cerezo, suggested that Alvarez isn't moving anywhere and will remain at Man City next season. So that's pretty much sounds like he's been rebuffed in terms of an inquiry. But I'll be honest, I don't think that will completely rule out a move for Alvarez, possibly leaving City. If they were to receive a big offer or a decent offer that they believe meets their valuation, I can certainly see him leaving in this summer window. So don't be surprised if Alvarez makes a move. Whether he remains in the Premier League is another question. Just got another comment here from Daz. He said, big up Ozzy, hope you're well today. Big up Daz. I'm doing well, thank you. I hope you are well as well. Thank you for tuning in as always. Now, on to the next comment, rumor I should say. Adam Wharton, what a 6 months this young man has had. Signed to Crystal Palace from Blackburn for 18.5 million. Now, I know a lot of Palace fans were not quite so sure about the signing as he was coming from the Championship, but he's been very impressive. And as you all know, he's in the England squad for the Euros. So there's no surprise that he's being linked with a move from the Premier League, and it doesn't get bigger than the champions in Man City, who see Wharton as a long-term successor for Rodri, but at the same time can see him playing alongside him in the present. Do I see there being any legs to this rumor? I don't think so, to be honest. I think City will probably have eyes on other targets, like a Bruno Gomes, for example. So I don't think Wharton will be on the move this summer. And honestly, I think it's the right decision. He should at least play another season for Palace in the coming season before considering his future elsewhere. And to be fair, he's just joined in January, so he owes it to Palace to actually play one full season for the club. And then with regards to that, he can continue his development as he's still a young player, 18 years of age, I believe. So right now, he needs to be playing regular football, and I'm sure he'll get a move to a big club in the future because he is a very talented player. Next rumor, Romelu Lukaku. Now, you may not believe it, but he's still registered as a Chelsea player as he was out on loan to Roma last season. He's now returned to the club and is seeking a move elsewhere, as neither player or club want to continue their journey together. He's been linked with a move to Napoli and reunite with his former manager in Antonio Conte, but the Italian club are only interested in signing Lukaku on loan, which Chelsea have completely refused. The fee that Chelsea are after is around the 30 million mark, which I don't think Napoli have the finance to place any sort of bid unless they sell players, and Osimhen is one that's been linked. We'll move away from the club. Whether he leaves, I'm not quite so sure. So as of yet, I don't see this move happening. But what I do see happening this summer is Lukaku moving to the Saudi Pro League. Now, he's come out and made some comments about the league suggesting he's open to a move and that he believes the level will only increase to a much higher level than people think. So that sounds like he's ready to pack his bags and move to the Middle East. In fact, today he's actually been linked to a move to Al Hilal to join the likes of Neymar. So expect this move to happen very soon, or possibly after Euros, as he will be participating and playing for Belgium. Now on to the next rumor. Joao Neves. Many may not know the name, but this young player has been making waves this season. The highly regarded prospect from Benfica is being linked with a big money move to the Premier League. The fee is reported to be 102 million, which sounds like a crazy number, but that is his release clause. I haven't seen much of the player, if I'm being brutally honest. So I thought, why not watch a small compilation together and we can see what type of player he is. So let me share my screen with you guys and we can see what type of player we're going to see on the Manchester United. So as you can see, a midfield player. Did a cheeky little nutmeg there. So decent dribbler, good tackler. So yeah, seems like an all-round defensive midfielder. In terms of size and build, whether he's able to adapt to the Premier League, I would say is another question. In terms of pace, yeah, that's a good move there. But you know, it does have so. Okay, took a shot there from distance. It's the crossbar there. Yeah, plays at intensive level, which is probably why he's been linked to a move, as I feel like due to his style of play right now, it might suit the English game. Lucky with the finish there. Did he just score a header? Such a small guy. He managed to nod the ball over the defense into the back of the net. Yeah, he looks like an interesting profile. As you can tell, YouTube killing me with the ads right now. But in terms of the player, he looks decent. Don't get me wrong, but for 102 million, I don't think it's worth it. To be fair, unfortunately, with Portuguese players or players that play in the Portuguese league, the release clause is kind of the way forward, or you have to negotiate closer to their valuation. That 100 million mark seems a bit far-fetched, I'm being honest with you. So, one to look out for, I guess. Manchester United do sort of pull out these signings out of the bag on occasions. Have there been success in the past? Not really. But I don't know. I personally don't think there's any sort of legs in this rumor. I think he's probably just a highly sought after player right now. So that's why you've got probably his agent trying to speak with the media and try and engineer some sort of move. I don't see it happening, to be fair. I think the valuation is, extremely high. But that's just my opinion on the player. On to the next rumor. Not a player as such, but regardless, it's still a sort of a needle mover in terms of this manager in terms of possibly being appointed in the Premier League. So Massimiliano Allegri has refused to extend his contract at Juventus, and apparently is ready to test the waters in the Premier League. So over the years, he's always been linked to a move to the Premier League, and it's always been Manchester United or Arsenal. And as it stands, he could be making the move this summer now. The big question is, who would be his suitor? Ten Hag's future at the club is still in the air, so I can see that move happening. I would have said Chelsea before, but they've already made the appointment in Enzo Maresca. So Old Trafford could be Allegri's destination, and it makes sense, especially as we got some news yesterday. Not official news, but I'll say the sort of news we get on social media, and that was that Manchester United and Thomas Tuchel have ended discussions as he's no longer interested in the job. Now, I have to be honest, I find that quite funny, as I know a lot of United fans didn't want Tuchel as their manager. It looks like the feeling was mutual, as he didn't want to join the club either. So it remains to be seen where Tuchel goes this summer or in months to come, and I'm sure he'll get plenty of offers. And he is a decent manager. But as it stands, Ten Hag is expected to be sacked this week. No official confirmation. He's on holiday right now, so not the nicest of welcomes after a holiday to be told that you're sacked, but that is the name of the game. Thomas Tuchel isn't interested in the move, and Allegri would like to move to the Premier League. So it seems like the stars are aligned that we could see Allegri in the Premier League. And so I'm sure we'll hear some sort of developments in the coming days. On to this next rumor, Conor Gallagher. Now, there's no huge surprise to anyone, as this rumor has been highly publicized for the last few months. Now, I've seen a lot of fans online dismissing the player and deeming him as not good enough for Tottenham. I actually have to disagree. I think he would be a fantastic addition for the team. He's a hard-working midfielder who would be perfectly suited to play in a double pivot, can also play box-to-box, or even as a number 10, which he did a few times for Chelsea last season. So I actually think it would be a smart signing. Whether he starts week in, week out is debatable. I think he does personally, but even if he doesn't, he provides strength in depth and versatility, as he can play in a number of different roles. Chelsea value him at 50 million. Seems a bit high, but then again, Tottenham bought Brennan Johnson last summer for a similar fee, so he can't be deemed as too expensive when you compare the two players. Does this signing happen in the summer? I think it depends on the transfer activity at Chelsea. Remember, the homegrown quota will be a big one for most clubs, and they need to meet those requirements. So I'm sure we'll hear some sort of developments very, very soon. On to the next rumour. Now, the one transfer I'm praying that doesn't come true is Alexander Isak to Arsenal. As we all know, Newcastle are one of 6 clubs that need to sell players in order to meet their profitability and sustainability rules. So that means a number of Newcastle players could be up for sale to raise funds, or they could sell one of their big guns. And Alexander Isak certainly fits that bill. Now, Isak would be a phenomenal signing for the Gunners. However, he would cost quite a bit. And despite Newcastle's problems right now, I think we're looking in the region of £80 million. They only bought him, it's been a season or two for, and the transfer fee, I believe, was around £60 million as well. So, will it happen this summer? I hope not, as I'd want him to join Liverpool in the future. But it's definitely one to look out for. I don't think there's any sort of concrete news with regards to this rumour. Arsenal are scouting around for different types of profile in terms of an attacker. I think he would fit their team perfectly. But in terms of the transfer fee, I don't know. They might look out for another player that's on the cheaper side and has as much potential as Isak. But we'll soon find out in due course. Now, an interesting move regards to this rumour, as Callum Hudson-Odoi was fantastic for Forest in his debut season. In the Premier League, he made 29 appearances, 8 goals and 1 assist. He only cost Forest £3 million last season, which is daylight robbery, to be honest. But his stock has certainly risen, hence why you've got teams like Spurs showing interest. I think he would be a good addition to their team, and I believe he has more of an end product than Timo Werner, who was pretty much their first choice left winger in the second half of the season. I think Forest will demand a higher transfer fee, maybe in the region of 20 million. On paper, it sounds like a good deal. I'm not sure if it will materialize. And the reason is because I think Spurs have signed Werner for another year, and I believe they'll probably want to put all the efforts on signing a new striker, and that will be their priority this window. On to the next rumour, James Trafford. Now, his name has been mentioned a few times in the past week, especially on this channel, as we linked with a move in the Premier League, but also in the Bundesliga to join his former gaffer, Vincent Kompany, at Bayern Munich. This rumour is surrounding Newcastle United, and I think there's some weight in this story. Second choice keeper Dubravka pretty much played most of last season due to Nick Pope's injury. So I think they will want to upgrade and find a goalkeeper who is more than good enough to become a number one. And I think Trafford could be that guy for the Toon Army. The transfer fee will be around 25 million. So it's not one that will break the bank, but could be looked at as smart bit of business for the short term and the long term. A very interesting rumor, as Bologna's attacker Joshua Zirkzee is being linked with a move to the Premier League, with Arsenal showing some strong interest. Now, he had a fantastic campaign for Bologna last season. The Dutch forward made 37 appearances, 12 goals and 7 assists. So with those sort of stats, I thought it might be worth sharing some compilations, and let's see how he did last season. So here we go. So an attacking player can play as a number 9 and as a number 10. Look at that. Great technique there. He's both footed as well, by the way. So lovely finish with the half volley. Attacking the channels there. Clever feet. Nice little finish there with left foot. Got a good first touch on him as well. Silky player in the way he approaches the game. Good skill there. Good dribbling, really nice through ball. Definitely got something about him. There you go. Clever feet in terms of that move there. Good pass, good layoff to the other player. Yeah, he's a silky player. He's got nice ability on the ball there. In terms of passing, good through ball there. So he's definitely got a good link-up play. Nice turn there. Great heart in through the legs. Yeah, he looks like a player, to be honest with you. Left-footed finish, great strike. As I mentioned, both-footed, left-footed strike there as well. Look at that, right-footed penalty. Yeah, he looks a good player. Centre forward with flair. That's what I'm seeing right now. Yeah, he looks impressive. Nice turn there. Great strength there, which he'll need in the Premier League. Look at that. Lovely goal. I know it's an open goal, but even just the execution was like nicely done. Presses as well. So hard worker. Yeah, I think he looks a good talent, to be honest with you. I can see why Arsenal linked with him. Is he a better fit than Sesko? Drop a comment, let me know, because that's another player that they've been linked with. I like him, to be honest. I think he's a good player. Yeah, interesting player. Very interesting. I've seen him a couple of times, but obviously watching a compilation like that where you see his best bits, it comes to life a little bit more. I think it would be a good signing for Arsenal. As I mentioned, can play as a striker, can drop deep playing in a number 10 role, but it even looks like because he can attack the channels, he can maybe play in a wide forward area as well. But his transfer fee will be a decent amount, to be fair. He is valued at around £50 million. So in terms of this being a realistic deal for Arsenal, I think for some reason it depends on the Sesko deal. If that doesn't materialize, because he's been strongly linked with a move to Arsenal. I don't see him signing two attackers. So I believe if the Sesko deal for some reason doesn't materialize, I think OZZWRLD could be the next on the list. So it depends what happens with other targets. But from what I've seen here, he looks a talent. He looks very impressive, to be honest. So maybe one player add to the Liverpool list, because yeah, I like what I saw there. And sticking with the Gunners, we have a player who unfortunately has found first team opportunities very hard to find, and that's Emil Smith-Rowe. Now, the Croydon De Bruyne only made 18 appearances in all competitions last season, with 2 assists to his name. He played such a big part in Arsenal's rise a few years ago, but unfortunately, with further additions to the squad over the years, he's gone down the pecking order and has had to settle for a squad role. But is it time for him to move on? I believe so. If he's ambitious and wants to play first team football, he should find a club elsewhere that can offer him more regular games. I think Fulham are one of the clubs that are interested in the player. I actually think a move to Fulham would be a good move, and he should be able to secure regular first team football there. The transfer fee shouldn't be too high, in the region of 15 million to 20 million, in my opinion. I hope he gets the move and resurrects his career. But then again, he may be content with being a squad player at a big team. So let's see what happens, because he's been at the club for a couple of years where he knows he's not really going to get game time, and he hasn't really shown any sort of emphasis on leaving the club anytime soon. So who knows? He might be content. If I was him, I'd probably want to move elsewhere and try and find a club that will offer me first team football. And it doesn't have to even be in the Premier League. He can look at possibly a move elsewhere, because he has the ability to play in a different type of league. So let's see what happens with his future after this window. And the final rumor today is Yankuba Minte, the Newcastle winger who was on loan at Feyenoord last season, has been linked with a move to Liverpool. And no surprise there, Minte played under new Liverpool manager / coach Arne Slot, who has praised the player in terms of his ability and rates him very, very highly. Minte is predominantly a right winger, but can also play on the left as well. Last season, he played 27 games in the Eredivisie, 10 goals and 6 assists. Will he take the opportunity to move to the Premier League, i.e. to Anfield? I'm not quite so sure. I've seen some clips of the player, and he looks like an interesting forward. I think Liverpool would probably have other targets in mind for that right wing role, if that's an area that they will be strengthening this summer. Newcastle have plans to sell him in order to raise funds to meet the profitability and sustainability rules, but I think they should keep the player. Maybe sell one of their more high valued players like an Isaac or Ramirez. Selling a number of squad players just to gather up funds will hurt them in the long run, as they won't be able to finance any sort of new incomings or reinvest into the squad. So it's an interesting rumor, and I can see why it's been linked with Liverpool, but at this stage, I don't see it happening. And with that being the last rumor, that is a wrap up for today. So thank you to everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, in terms of upcoming content, there's a lot coming your way. Tomorrow will be the second episode of Liverpool Transfer Talk. Then on Wednesday, I'll be doing a special FC24 episode. And on Thursday, we will be doing a Euro 2024 prediction show. And as we all know, the tournament kicks off this Friday. And on Football Talk Podcast, we'll be doing live watch-alongs throughout the competition. So make sure to join us and get involved in the live chat. And that's it for today, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.